Hello, this is Brian. Today is Wednesday, August the 12th, 2020, and I am here in the Angeles National Forest near Big Pines, maybe about a half a mile from the junction of Big Pines Highway and Angeles Crest Highway, about an elevation of 6,600 feet above sea level. And today I want to present an episode of Spotlight on Trees. Today's episode focuses on a commonly widespread species found here in the United States. I believe it goes back east and out here in the west, but ours is a specific variety. This is called the western chokecherry. This is Prunus virginiana variety demissa. Like other roses, like other cherries, kind of just gave it away there. Like other cherries, apples, peaches, plums, roses, they're all in the rose family, the Rosaceae. This one is in the same group with the cherries, the plums, the apricots, the almonds, because it has a stone-bearing fruit called a drupe. Now, western chokecherry is one of the relatively few species of Prunus found here in Southern California. I am maybe about 45 miles east of Los Angeles right now, in the San Gabriel Mountains. Not that far from Wrightwood, but on the Los Angeles County side. Here in Southern California, we have, as for cherries, we have Prunus ilicifolia, which is hollyleaf cherry, Prunus ilicifolia lyonii, which is Catalina cherry. Then we got Prunus emarginata, which is bitter cherry, which is found here in the San Gabriels, as well as hollyleaf cherry. And so is western chokecherry, Prunus virginiana variety demissa. Unlike the hollyleaf cherry, which is pretty much more common here, the hollyleaf cherry is an evergreen shrub, whereas the western chokecherry is winter-deciduous, meaning it sheds its leaves in fall, leafless during winter, and gets new leaves in the spring, like your stereotypical cherries, and like most species in the genus Prunus. The leaves are pretty ovate, kind of oval, taper towards the tip, very finely toothed along the edges, which is typical for plants in the genus Prunus, and generally larger than the evergreen hollyleaf cherry, which is found generally in chaparral and dry woodland. These have larger leaves because they grow in moisture conditions. Here it's fairly dry, but there's more access to groundwater because we're near a ditch where water accumulates periodically during the year. So they have more underground soil. That's where you're more likely to find these winter-deciduous species. The young bark of a chokecherry is kind of reddish brown with these little spots. I believe these are called lenticels. And then with age, they get that stereotypical cherry bark. These are more like lenticels here, but you get more of the grayish. And then with age, they may furrow very lightly. Like most cherries, it flowers in the spring. However, these ones tend to flower a little bit later. A lot of the garden cherries that you eat, a lot of times they'll bloom before the leaves come out. But these, you can tell, the leaves come out first, and then the flower stalks come. And the flowers are these nice little 5-petaled white blossoms that come along these stalks. This is what the spent flowers look like right here. So if you're having trouble telling Prunus emarginata, the bitter cherry, and Prunus virginiana variety demissa, if you're having trouble telling them apart, look for flower stalks. If they got these long flower stalks like this, it's western chokecherry. If it's kind of like a rounded cluster, it's bitter cherry. And this is what the developing fruit looks like right here. These little drupes. They're called chokecherries. As for the edibility of it, it's kind of confusing because I read different sources. They're not really supposed to be very palatable. They're supposed to be quite astringent, and they might cause you to gag. I've never tried it. I don't know if I'm ever going to try it, but here again, the clusters of fruits grow along a linear stalk here. You got the linear inflorescence, and then you got the little individual fruit stalks and the fruits. They kind of turn a little bit reddish, darkish. I think they might turn purplish when they're ripe. Again, I believe the Native Americans might have used them, but I would be hesitant to actually eat one myself, because they probably taste very, very bitter. Probably very astringent, and it'll probably give you a gag reflex. It's a beautiful shrub. It's a very showy shrub. It's beautiful in quite a few seasons. It has a beautiful winter profile. It's got a nice dense leaf, nice dense medium green color during the summer. It's very thick and dense, forms thickets. Ours is more of a shrub than a tree. It may occasionally reach tree size, but variety demissa is basically the shrub variety, and that's the one found out here in the West. Seen it here quite often here in Southern California. You'll see a lot more of this near Mountain High Ski area in Wrightwood, and you'll also see it a lot in Palomar Mountain in San Diego County, and you'll find it maybe some other spots. Again, winter deciduous. These leaves will fall off, and fall color, I haven't seen the full gist of it, but I have seen some variation in color. Most of it's going to be a clear yellow in the fall. However, some of them might get some reddish and orangish hues here and there. Maybe some splotches of purple, but I believe your fall color is going to predominantly be yellow. Elevation-wise, these are usually found above 3,000 feet, and I have seen very stunted specimens along the Devil's Backbone Trail heading up to Mount San Antonio or Mount Baldy at about 9,000 feet. I don't expect to see that very often there, but I remember seeing one or two of them right along the trail, and they had the same exact leaves and the same twig structure, but they were just very stunted. Size-wise, it's fairly typical. Maybe about 10 feet tall, maybe 15 feet tall sometimes. Looks like it forms very dense thickets, and as I was discussing before, they predominantly live in areas where you'll have more access to either subsurface water or at the surface water. And here's the shrub's profile right here, from back a little bit. Actually a very attractive shrub. It's actually one of the more interesting deciduous species here in Southern California. So that's it. The beautiful western chokecherry. It's found through a nice chunk of the United States. Western, and I believe even in the eastern United States you get different varieties of Prunus virginiana. Obviously named virginiana, Virginia, so this is a pretty widespread species, but this one specifically is variety demissa, the western chokecherry. This is Brian, and this was an episode of Spotlight on Trees. I hope you enjoyed it and found it informative. Stay tuned for another episode coming soon. Thanks for watching.